Hi everyone, how are you? It's evening here in Auckland, New Zealand. I wanted to bring a topic today that I wanted to share with you and talk about. And it's about why I think and feel, and I want to share an experience with you that I had recently on uh, how the universe has our back. Because a lot of the times we feel like we need to carry everything on our shoulder, like everything's intellectualized, and we need to, hold on to things in order to make them happen. And I just want to share a little story with you of a beautiful, epic experience that I've had recently that proves to me more, like time and time again, that the universe is there and it's like supporting every desire of mine, every dream of mine, and where I really don't have to get my hands dirty, uh, you know, to make things happen. So I want to share this with you. And yeah, so do you believe in the law of attraction? Do you believe that when you desire something, do you believe that when you desire something that the universe conspires to make things happen? So I just want to ask you that question because I know that there's lots of people in this group that come from all different walks of life. But it's kind of like, from this event that happened recently, it was kind of like a test. And it proved to me, that the universe never fails to surprise me. And to prove to me that, when you are this prone to hustle, to push, that things do unfold so gracefully, so in flow. Um, and a lot of the times we just kind of stress and worry as a nuisance, really. We tend to do that because it's like the fear of loss. It's like the person tends to be in a space of lack. So we kind of like feel like we need to be attached to the idea of what we want. But if we feel it, we know it, and we believe it deep down, then, sorry, the lighting is really not that great tonight because it's actually PM here in New Zealand. It's past 5 p.m., I think it is. And I had a really long walk today. I went through a track from Takapuna to Devonport. So there was a bit of bush tracking, and we had some beautiful sceneries and views on the way. I was going to do it before I was going, and it would have been perfect for the lighting, but instead I'm doing it after the track. So that explains why it's it's a bit dark in here. But so back on track to what I was saying to you, I went to a gathering. It was like a dinner party for a friend's birthday, and just briefly, I want to share with you this experience. There was a man that was demanding that I dance with him because we played, South American music, just beautiful music in the background, and I love to dance freestyle. Right, I'm not very much into that whole swirly, curly kind of style. And, it was one of those nights where I really felt like I needed to let my hair down because I hadn't danced in the way that I wanted to for so long because I've been caught up with, a lot of other things. Especially with my, with my move, changing homes and everything, and really giving more space within myself for like this expansion to unfold into my life. So anyway, this guy was forcing me to dance with him, and I kind of, it's not that I freaked out, but I sensed like that push and that pressure from his end. And he did have a bit of alcohol, and I didn't know this guy. He was he was related to, I think he was some woman's partner that was at the party. So anyway, I noticed that he was pressuring me by, slamming his face in front of me, basically saying like, take my hand, take my hand. And I said it gracefully, like I responded, quite firmly. I was like, I really want to dance freestyle because it's the kind of song that I can dance, that you're meant to dance to on your own, like a freestyle song. So no, I don't want to dance with you. So I was being quite straight, but the more I stated, my truth, or what I wanted, the more he didn't accept it, and that's when I felt that the energy that I was receiving from, that I was getting from his end, was quite aggressive. There was a lot of insecurity, demand, and and he was taking, you know, my no as like a rejection. So I had to be very wary of like what was happening. Pretty important. Like I find that I put myself now in the shoes of the other person to see how they are, you know, how they are perceiving, you know, my whatever I say. Not that it affects, you know, what I'm about to, like my actions or whatever I'm about to say. But anyway, what I want to share with you is that in that moment, I felt like it could easily, like from a situation so innocent, it could so easily turn out to be something like quite dramatic. And there could be drama coming from there. And if it was me years ago, like I probably would have responded in a way where I would be quite resistant. I would stand my ground in like in a fierce way, but like in a probably not aggressive, but you know, I would really make sure that I'm standing my ground. So anyway, in this instance, I noticed that I really had to think on my feet fast. I had to use my body. I had to use my thoughts. I used my thoughts and I used my intuition to know how I needed to respond because first of all, he pushed my boundaries. He literally crossed my boundaries. And he was like pushing my buttons, you know, more and more. So I noticed a resistance coming up inside of, like from my end. And whenever with these resistance, I find that as a way, I'm sharing this story because I invite you to kind of, you know, you could probably use it as a mirror, as a reflection of, you know, maybe situations in your life. So when resistance comes up, it's a perfect opportunity to use that resistance and see and self-inquire and self-reflect, go inward and see, you know, why is this resistance coming up? So what I felt was this person is pushing my boundaries. He's forcing himself into my personal space. And I don't like that. I'm not appreciative of that. I don't like it. It's happened in the past, especially for the ones that know my history. So it was easy for me to also become aggressive if I, you know, if that was the way that I chose to respond, like reactive, which I chose not to. So in that moment, I had to think fast to my feet and I had to use my intuition. I had to use my thoughts and really like use my mind from a 360-degree angle where I was not going to allow energy to be taken away right from me, where I had to invest energy that was going to push me outside of my own personal space. So I decided, and this wouldn't have been me time ago, I decided to take his hand. And I just kind of like in myself, I thought, please, like I just kind of imagined like just having this protective veil around my energy field. So I did take his hand and I literally just allowed him to just swirl me around because I said to him initially when I said no, I said, I'm wearing heels and if you know, I don't want to be, you know, swirled around and I don't want to twist my ankles because it's going to hurt me. So I just had to be self-explanatory. So anyway, I took his hand. I allowed, you know, him to do the little swirly thing, whatever. And then I just drifted out into my own energy and I went to pet the cat. And yeah, and the pets that were there, just to kind of recenter. That was my way of like just gathering my own energy, right? Just keep gathering into my own center. And it worked wonders. It worked really, really well because he was kind of like, oh, you know, I noticed that he was like relieved and he's like, see, there was nothing, I wasn't going to do anything. It was easy. And I just kind of stayed in my own space, right? So that worked really well. But what I did realize and what I picked up on was that this is a typical like reaction from a person that does not take no for an answer and that does not know how to respect a woman's or in fact any person's space, personal space. So this is why I had to think very much on my feet straight away and feel into what the best alternative was going to be. And so where I'm getting to, sorry, about how the universe has our back is because I just leaned back. I leaned back because it was kind of like I was exploring, I was experimenting, also new ways of dealing with things because I was very aware and conscious to, you know, what was going on, but I was in control of myself, right? So that was, you know, leaning back. But the sad part of the story, which is very fascinating and interesting, and it proves to me time and time again how the universe always has your back when you are, you know, when you want positive outcomes, is that This man tried the same thing with a Doberman, with a dog that was staying there. There was a couple that brought him over, and they were staying the night there. And the dog is pretty big, and we know that you don't mess with certain breeds because you know, the dog is nice until you annoy it, and then it needs to defend itself, and it's marking its territory. So what happened was the same thing that he did with me with his hand, that I looked at and I felt like it was invasive, completely invasive. He did the same with the dog. So he patted him once, he patted the dog twice, but he didn't give space to the dog to get close to him, to like sniff him, to see whether he was you know, he was safe, or he, you know, it was okay for him, you know, to allow him in his space. So on the third attempt of the same guy that went to pet him, the dog bit his hand, and he didn't bite his hand off, but he bit his hand. And it was I was gone by that stage. I had gone home, but it was really nasty. Like, the bite was nasty. He grabbed his hand, and because he felt attacked, right? Like, his personal space was invaded. So I didn't obviously jump on the man, because I decided to use my, you know, self-reflection, and yeah, I decided to kind of respond in a different manner. But the dog bit him, and there was like, it was gross, but it was like blood gushing everywhere. It was a really bad wound. And I thought to myself, when my friend told me about this story, I thought, look, you can't get away with anything. Like, I feel that the universe literally puts order in, you know, and it's not to say that I'm happy that, you know, the dog responded that way. I mean, it was a very violent, you know, action. But what I see time and time again is that the universe always has our back. The universe is self-ordering, and he was put in his place, not by, well, yeah, by the dog, not by Vanessa Mariano. I kind of put him in his place in an energetic kind of way, right? Not in a confronting way, because confrontation is not, direct confrontation is not necessarily always the best way, okay? So it was amazing, because, you know, sometimes language is powerful, yes, but sometimes language is not enough, or sometimes it's the energy behind your language that is, you know, super powerful. So it's just a matter of knowing when and how to use that energy, and when and how to use language in a certain way. So I wanted to share this story with you because I was mind blown at the story, at the event of what happened to this man. He was crying, and he was literally acting like a victim. And the woman said, look, I'm sorry, but it's, you know, if there's a victim here, it's actually the dog, because his space was invaded. Exactly. And I felt that because I was in that position before the dog, right? Only the dog responded viciously, and I didn't want to respond viciously, because I was exploring a new way of handling the situation with my energy, right? And it was interesting. The result was interesting, but it brings me to how the universe has our back when you lean back. So you know, there's ways that we can respond to situations without being affected. I mean, not being affected, but you know, there's ways that we can respond to certain scenarios that are not pleasant to us, where we are not necessarily feeding negativity, feeding the negative energy. So I folded into, you know how they say, you know, negativity is, you know, it's a strong force, but you can also, resistance, whenever resistance comes up, that's always something that's like a reflection within yourself that that can be worked through. And remember, whenever you bring up that resistance, you bring it up for the good things in the universe as well, like in life. So I was making sure that that resistance was being worked through, and I had to be really fast as I was working through that. So I decided to not have that internal resistance, and instead kind of, you know, lean forward into, you know, the scenario. So I was kind of like, you can see it like a dance. It was kind of like a dance. I was dancing with that energy without being negatively impacted, and it worked wonders. And then the dog, you know, I want to say he did the dirty work, but the dog then responded in the way that he did, and he put the man in his place. So whether he learned the lesson or not, I don't know, but I found that fascinating. So I just wanted to share that story with you. And I don't know what you can get from this, but I felt that it was really metaphorical. It was a beautiful way to express and to show how the universe has our back. And we don't always necessarily need to be reactive or get our hands really dirty and messy in certain situations. We need to defend our rights, to defend our space. Like sometimes leaning into things is a way of leaning back, you know. Folding, playing with that energy is a way of leaning back. And obviously these scenarios that are very dangerous and that can be a threat to your, safety. And then obviously, a different approach is, necessary, but the thing is, there's not one recipe for everything. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And I thought it was fascinating. It was incredible. I spoke about it to a friend of mine, to my friends, and they were just like gobsmacked. They thought, oh my God, this guy, he got what he asked for, really, right? So, so the universe has your back. So, a question that I want to, put out for you is, how do you find that the universe is supporting you? And how are you responding to challenges, right, that are coming your way? Are you leaning back, which means also folding into, right? Like that's exactly what the talk is about now. Or, do you allow this resistance to come up? Do you fight with it? Do you bring confrontation? Do you get all hyped up? And I guess there's no right or wrong. I guess it's just, the way that we learn to respond to situations. But I'm definitely, I work with energy, and for me, it's always finding new ways, exploring, using language, movement in order to, it's kind of like Kung Fu, all these martial arts. It's all about how do you fold into, like, how do you use energy so that you are protecting yourself? How do you use your energy to protect yourself so that you're not really going against yourself and feeding into the energy, right? Like to avoid feeding into the negativity. So this is why let me know if you find this topic really interesting or not. Because I certainly found it really fascinating. And I want you to know that I will be coming on every day live, and I want to bring little tips to encourage you, to inspire you to continue on your journey. Whether you are wanting to reawaken your passions, you are wanting to do more, spend your time doing more of what you love and what lights you up. And I'm here to share my journey, to share my experiences, to share my gifts and my talents with you. But you can maybe, if you choose to, you can consider it, you can apply it in your life to help make your journey like swift, enjoyable, and yeah, just symbolic that whatever you are wanting to experience, you have the right to experience it, right? With all your heart, with all your might. Now, there's going to be things that I will be bringing in every day, which encompasses really everything that I'm good at, everything that I enjoy, everything that I spent and devoted my whole life learning and applying. And I want to share that with you. I want to share as much as I can with you so that you can find benefits in your life. So that's all about, really living a pleasure-fulfilled life. And my life, in this time is all about, and, the kind of work that I do when I work with others is about expansion and fulfillment and presence and play. So if you have any questions around these areas, do let me know. And yeah, I'm happy to engage with you. So for those of you that haven't known much about me, my name is Vanessa Mariano, and I'm a healing activator. So that's, I work with energy, okay? And I have a linguistics background, so I work with vibrational language and movement, and how by combining the two things, you can absolutely transform your whole entire well-being and quality of your life, okay? And you can do this by, you know, as it allows you to kind of fold more into and tap more into your passions. So yes, I do use or work with a lot of our own internal sensual sexual energy. And that is your creative force. It's your energy that is your God-given right to use, to tap into, to create, and to create like a life that is full. Okay, so I do have a course that is going to be coming up, and it's all about allowing yourself to be open to conversations that are a bit taboo. It's nothing, you know, scary, nothing confronting, but it's just inviting you to see things from a different perspective. And it's really creating this pathway within our own selves to connect to our sacred energy, because it's not until you connect to your sacred energy that you can then manipulate it in a way that you can start to use it in a fruitful manner to expand your life with it, not restrict, right, your life and yourself. Now, having said that, a lot of my teachings as well and my coaching also encompasses it has a holistic approach. So where on one hand I use the power of vibrational language and movement, you know, on the other, like with that, I'm also very much into and promote a well-being. So I'm not only a sexual assault survivor, but I've also recovered from an autoimmune disease. And there's also and always spiritual meanings behind our illnesses. Like recently, I've gone through a massive change in my life that was followed by a left shoulder injury. And it wasn't until I tapped into this left shoulder injury that I tuned into an area within myself that needed a shift, or where my body was ready and calling out to me for this shift to take place. So being the investigator that I am, I tapped into that, and I dug deep, and I went through a phase of introspection that explains why I gave a break to my lives. And I was doing more writing, and I was allowing myself to fold into this new way of exploring, which means not necessarily knowing what it is. Okay, so it's all about being comfortable with the new, with the unknown, and to create from that space. That is a perfect space to be creating. So this is where the course has been born, or was born from, and this is something that I want to share with you, beautiful ladies, and only because I know that it works, and because I know the impact that it has had on my life. And there's a chapter in my book that talks about this experience. Okay, so this is not to rave on about me, but I love to share my insights and my growths and my breakthroughs. So I wish for you to only you know, take the goodness from everything that I do share. Okay, so I'm going to keep it really simple now. I've shared my story. I've shared with you why I feel that the universe always has our back. It's important that we always have an approach. So it's not the kind of negative scenarios that we're confronted by that, you know, necessarily, you know, that determines our experiences from being positive or negative. It's really the way that we respond to these scenarios that creates, you know, that creates you know, something powerful opportunity in our life. It's all in not necessarily what happens to us, but it's more about how we respond to it. if that makes sense. So yeah, and within that, yeah, it comes, what is important is yeah, our approach. So with the approach is really how we are leaning back and how open we are to receiving. And that's all part of the feminine energy. This is all in everything that I teach and everything I promote. So femininity is not only just about self-care, but if you think about it, you know, I feel that when you do have these kind of approach, when, you know, that I kind of shared with you, that's really, that's like an action of self-love as well, because you're not putting yourself in a situation when you will be abused. You know, you're kind of like manipulating the energy, and you're doing it in a very empowering way. You're taking action in a very empowering way, not necessarily even taking action. It's even just kind of like allowing things to kind of unfold on their own, like they did. And where, you know, this man, you know, had his lesson from someone outside of myself, which was a dog, right? So I thought that was really fascinating. I really wanted to share that with you. So thank you for following. I appreciate you taking the time and the space for listening. I'm very honored to have you as part of this journey as well. And again, apologies for the lighting. I know it's not the best, but I will be sharing tips every day. So I just wanted to share this at different times of the day where so not necessarily at a particular time, where I will bring something small in. Okay, so we're 26 minutes in, so videos might be just as long or maybe even shorter, but little tips that they're invitations. So take these tips as an invitation for you to kind of like ponder, explore, and yeah, so this is all about leaning towards you know, self-love, self-care, and also not necessarily, you know, leaning forward, but like also leaning back, which is all about the feminine energy. Okay, so I'll see you again very soon, and I desire for you to have a really wonderful day or night wherever you're in the world. I'm going to have a spa night with my girlfriend, so I'm going to put my bikinis on. It's autumn here in New Zealand, but we had the most amazing weather. So I'm going to put my bikinis on. We're going to have a beautiful, we're going to cook up some filled capsicum with like quinoa and lentils and coriander, like all these beautiful spices and herbs. And just have a real chilled night in a hot spa and give ourselves a pleasure of, yeah, leaning back and taking care of our soul. You know, girlfriend time is always so good for the spirit. Remember, I'll be coming in for more tips on self-care and beauty, and you know, everything that encompasses, you know, language, and how we can use language in an empowered way to bring and to expand our life, and also, you know, movement. So with movement, it's whether it's movement using your own body or whether it's like movement as well, like learning, you know, or applying new ways of manipulating energy that serves you. Okay, so I invite you to comment in the video to see and share with me if you have found this video helpful, if you've had any aha moments, if it's kind of helped you to kind of reflect on situations in your own life, maybe you know, perspectives within your own self. Share, let us know, help us learn from you as well, or to, yeah, and learn from each other, right? From our own experiences. So much love, and I will see you again tomorrow.